Hey everybody, today we're actually going to start a new unit. It's kind of a short unit and it has to do with the Americas, both North and South. Now, to be honest, this unit is pretty short, and as far as North America goes, the project that we did with the state borders, I think, kind of pacifies that. So obviously, you guys looking up these oddities and these proposed states, that's actually more than what the book and the content actually calls for. So it's just something interesting that we did that kind of knocks out that North America piece. So we're going to focus more over the next couple of days about things going on in South America. But for today, we're going to do two things. We're going to kind of go way back and we're going to talk about just the overall basic structure of the Americas, which are North and South together. And we're going to build a little bit of a basic map using boxes and lines and labels. And then we're also going to talk about way back when, again, how humans eventually migrated to America, because there's two theories on how they got to the Americas, and we're going to talk about both and write some things down related to both. Okay, so for today, you're definitely going to need your notebook. Okay, we're going to build this basic map just to kind of get a layout of the areas that go with what's known as the Americas. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to take up a whole page. It can take up a half page, but this is all the data right here that we're going to need. So it's pretty simple, but it gives you a pretty good outline of what the Americas is considered. Okay, so to start this thing, we're going to bring over a box that just says North America. Okay, so on your paper, you're going to want to do the same thing. And as you can tell, it's not taking up my whole area here, it's just kind of floating there above. So a box with North America right there is a good start. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with South America. We're going to put it down here. So clearly, the shapes don't look like North and South America, the continents, but they give a good basic outline of where they would be. Okay, now, this is kind of the interesting one, what people consider to be Central America. Central America, for a lot of people, includes Mexico. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, and I'm actually going to drag them a little closer just so you can kind of see them in relationship to each other. But it's also kind of sideways because if you guys ever recognize when we talk about North and South America, North America is a big chunk up here, including Canada, United States, and for a lot of people, Mexico. And then South America includes some of these countries like Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and all that. But the ones in the middle here, and sometimes including Mexico as well, all the way down to places like Panama, Central America is just kind of a thinner piece that connects the two bigger pieces, and it kind of goes at a sideways angle here. Okay, so that includes a lot of different countries, but they kind of connect the two bigger areas. Okay, the other one I'm going to add as far as land is the Caribbean islands. Okay, a lot of people don't think of the Caribbean islands as being anywhere part of North America. They just see them as kind of their own thing. But they have kind of played a vital role, especially with exploration. People like Columbus and other explorers actually landed in this area first before anybody actually even hit places like Florida over in the United States. Okay, so the Caribbean, again, you can tell, kind of floats out here on its own, but it does kind of fill this middle gap between North and South America, including Central America. Okay, so the two oceans that play a part here, we're going to put the Pacific over here. Okay, so that's this entire side. And we're going to include the Atlantic. I'm going to put it kind of way out here, but close to the Caribbean, because that is an area where the Caribbean and the Atlantic kind of eventually come together. Okay. And then as far as the equator, that's the last thing I'm going to add. I'm actually going to put it right around here. Okay, because the equator, actually, I'll put it right here. Okay, the equator kind of plays a part with lower Central America and northern South America. So I'm just going to put it on top of South America right here. Okay. So again, in your notebook, you're going to want to build something like this. Does it have to be different colors? It doesn't necessarily have to be. I just did it so they would stand out a little better. But now, again, instead of us drawing a map that was actually to scale or looked exactly like the land masses, we don't really need it. So we can see obviously here where these big chunks are located and how they're going to play a part, right? We're going to focus mostly on the next in the next couple of days on things that happen in South America. But again, the Central America is kind of part of the deal, and also the oceans play a part in the Caribbean. So again, this is just again, as it says, your basic map. I'm going to go one further now. This is the only other part we're going to talk about today, which is this migration theory. Okay, again, we're going way back to where the Americas is going to start being colonized, or at least, inhabited by these earlier humans. And there's a lot of theories on how they got there. Okay, there's more than two theories actually, but these are the two most well known. There's other theories that people traveled from South and Southeast Asia and landed in places like Australia and then decided to just take boats across and maybe get to South America. That's one theory. Another theory is people from Europe, especially northwestern Europe, traveled this direction, eventually landed in places like Canada and upper United States. But the two theories we're going to focus on are the most well regarded, and they're known as the land bridge theory and the coastal route theory. Okay, so in your notebook, we don't have to obviously copy this entire map. What we want to focus on is the wordage over here. Okay, so you want to add the question, how did people get to the Americas? Because that's the overall topic. And what you're going to do, you can definitely write theory one, land bridge, but leave some space to jot down a few bullet points or a few thoughts that I'm going to talk about as far as what the land bridge theory is. And the same thing for theory two. You're going to want to write theory two, coastal route, but you're going to leave some space underneath in order to jot down some things that go with that theory. Okay, so first of all, in this map, you all can see that we're talking about a long time ago because this white area is still part of the ice age, right? So this is still like glacial, frozen over areas. Now, the parts that are in white in a lot of these places obviously would have covered up what is there now. But then this green part that sticks out, they're telling you that obviously this area would have actually been, as it was, pretty green or pretty unfrozen because obviously for a lot of different reasons there wasn't ice in this piece. In any case, when we're talking about theory one is saying that these early humans traveled from Asia, like Northeast Asia, and they were following herds of animals. So unknowingly, right? They didn't do this knowingly. They kind of unknowingly just kept walking with these herds of animals, and they crossed over what is known as the land bridge. Okay, some of y'all already know this theory, but obviously, since the glaciers and the land were different back then, they were more solid. So these early humans just unknowingly walked over the land bridge, which would now be like northern Pacific Ocean, like way up here, the Bering Sea, places like that. So they just kind of unknowingly walked following these animals. And the theory also states that eventually they would break off into different groups of people. Some theorize it's actually more than two, they think it's three or four. And they started inhabiting places like the modern day United States. And then they eventually traveled all the way through places like Mexico and northern South America and split off there. Okay, so that's the land bridge theory pretty much in a nutshell. Again, that they start in Asia, they're following these herds of animals, and then they're eventually, again, unknowingly just going to start breaking off and inhabiting other parts of the Americas. Now, as far as theory two, the coastal route, that one pretty much speaks for itself, because there is this other theory that the coastal route was taken by these early humans. And by this point, they had invented boats or used boats for travel. So the theory is that they just were kind of going along the coastlines. And this happens over years and years and years and years. This doesn't happen, over the course of like a year or something. But it's saying that they just kind of kept going along the coast and maybe establishing small villages or small coastal towns. But then they just kept continuing along the path, and maybe the theory goes they were following schools of fish, or they were just trying to fish the areas and they just kind of continued on. Some people think they wanted to explore and see how far the land went. So they just kind of traveled along the coast, kind of like you do at the beach, right? They just kind of kept going, except out in the water instead of along the beach. And the theory goes that eventually they got here to what is now Western United States and they just kept going or different groups of them kept going all the way down until you get to Chile, Argentina, places like down here at the bottom of South America. Okay. Are either of these theories 100% correct or 100% incorrect? Not necessarily. All right. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of historians that think it could have been a little bit of both. All right. Because there's evidence, obviously, of artifacts and different things along this pathway that would hold that theory true. And there's also evidence of, early fish hooks and different fishing equipment that people find along these coastlines that are pretty similar in creation and date. Okay. So again, for your notes, this and this, theory one, theory two, should have a little bit more than what I have. Okay, that is essential. So again, if you turn this in to me, if you turn in a picture of your notebook and I just see theory one land bridge, theory two coastal route, I'm going to tell you to go back and at least write some stuff down. Okay. So again, for today, what you guys are going to submit again is just your notebook pages. If it's on one page, that's fine. If it's on two pages, that's fine too. But just send me a quick picture of this basic map and the notes that you wrote for the theory one and theory two of this migration to the Americas. Okay. Over the next couple of days, again, we're going to focus more on things going on in South America, all right, including things like some of y'all have heard of some of these groups before: the Maya, the Aztec, the Inca. So we're going to get some information related to some of this stuff over the next couple of days, and we're going to get in depth on a lot of these just for something cool to talk about to go with this Americas unit. Again, as always, I hope y'all are doing well out there. Make sure to send me some kind of pic of your notes. And then, other than that, you guys, for me, as far as social studies, are off the hook for today. All right. Have a good day. Everybody be safe out there. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.